How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Coach's Corner live here at Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery. Nate Mullins, we got Greg Kinn on the ones and twos keeping us live, and of course my special guest tonight, Tiffin Columbian head football coach Judd Lutz, joining me on the program. Thanks for taking time out of your day to join us here.
Appreciate it as always. Thanks for the opportunity.
You know what, Coach? It's always a pleasure. Anytime I get a chance to sit down and talk football with you, I get excited. And you guys, you got something special going this year. You know, I feel like there's just a certain energy around this program right now. And, you know, it's like they've got this, it's almost like unfinished business. You know, I've seen this before with certain teams where they feel like, you know, it's like almost like a vindication season. Like, you know, this is going to be our season. This is when we tell the world that we belong here and that, you know, we're coming to take something. And I just feel like there's a certain energy around this team that no matter when we interview, no matter what kid we interview after the game, what kid we pick for player of the game, the message is consistent, man. They're all locked in. They're focused right now.
Yeah, I've brainwashed all of them. It's great.
I can tell.
No, we got guys who are hungry for a number of different reasons. You know, selfishly, collectively. You know, guys who want to accomplish big things. You know, individually and collectively, and you know, continue to take the program to the next level. Continue to do things that have never been done, and the only way you can do things that have never been done or do things that have never been done. And so, you know, day in and day out, got a group who just wants to continue to pound at the craft, get better, continue to collectively come together as a team. And yeah, we've done some good things so far, but kind of like you said, unfinished business. Yeah, you know, we're continuing to be the hunter, continue to be the chaser, and we're hungry and not near full enough. So we'll see.
It's that 1-0 mentality, I feel like, that's permeating through that program right now. It's, you know, one game at a time, one play at a time, and just take care of business, you know, do your job kind of thing. And I feel like that's the mark of a championship team. You know, sometimes teams get in the habit of trying to outthink themselves or outthink the opponent or trying to figure out. You guys just focus on yourselves and how you can get better each and every day, each and every week. That's something you can respect. So let's talk about this Rocky River game.
Yeah.
So you guys get out to a hot start, jump all over the Pirates, and just kind of put it away and got into cruise control. I mean, I don't want to put that in any kind of a negative term, but, hey, that was a great game for you guys. 41 points on the board, just 7 allowed defensively, and I think that was kind of, you know, in one of those situations where, you know, it's late game, kind of, you know, playing a little bit of a prevent. I wouldn't say prevent defense, but just kind of, you know, trying to keep everything in front of you, not giving up anything deep, and they just kind of caught you guys with that one. But, you know, you got to be proud of what you guys put on the field this past Friday. That was a complete team effort. Defense, offense, everybody playing their part. What impressed you the most from that team effort?
Yeah, did a lot of things well. You know, we wanted to start on defense. You know, we thought we had a good handle on what they wanted to do offensively. Kind of playing for a couple different things, and sure enough, you know, we were kind of right in that. You know, they wanted to run the ball.
Yeah.
We thought they may go to a couple different looks. They actually made a quarterback change that we thought was possibility based on some film and that we had evaluated, and went with a kid who was a little bit more mobile and younger.
Not to interrupt you there, but that was something that we noticed. We put together, Greggy and Tommy do a great job with graphics, okay? And before every game, we try to scour stats and find, okay, this kid's probably going to be the featured guy for them, so we're going to make a nice graphic. And we made a nice graphic for Patty for that game. Julian Patty, I think was his name. Mm-hmm. And he was the, you know, the quarterback by statistical reason.
Yeah.
And then I think he played one play, one series, and then they took him out of the game. They put the other kids in, and it was kind of a quarterback by committee after that. But you saw that coming?
Yeah.
Because we didn't.
And again, we have the opportunity to comb through several films, and you know what you see on film, and you know, long story short, the younger kid looked a little bit more athletic and gave them maybe a little bit of a spark, and a couple things they were trying to do throughout the year. We felt like, and we kind of looked at each other like, man, I wouldn't be surprised if they went to this young kid from the ability to kind of run it, create some things, and off script, you know, potential. And sure enough, that's what they kind of did. And we didn't have anything necessarily drastically different, but we're prepared for some stuff. And you know, really, kids came out, set the tone early, stuffed the run. I think we got a 3-and-out. Maybe we gave up a first down, got a 4-play drive. I think it was a 3-and-out, but you know, they had a good punt. But we had a good return, short field. Offense, you know, went, I think, 3-play, 4-play drive and scored. Defensively, again, I think we gave up a little bit of yardage, but again, got a 4 and out, 5 and out, and offense again turned into points. I know we didn't punt in the first half. I think we scored every time we touched it. Not that there wasn't resistance. We had to drive the field a couple times, and all in all, did some really good things on special teams, did some really good things on offense and defense, and you reap the rewards. Obviously, being up 34-0 at halftime, I think is what it was, and obviously get the running clock in the second half and take care of business and accumulate 503 yards of offense and shut them down pretty well defensively. So it was a good game. It was a good game.
It was definitely a good game if you're a Columbian fan, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So you got the offense clicking right now. We've talked about this the last couple times we've talked, is just how this offense has kind of progressed since the beginning of this season. And one facet of that offense that's really taken a lot of progression over the last, I'd say, 6 or 7 weeks, Braden Rogo has really started to take that next step with his game. And, we thought this would be his year, that he's going to take that next step. And, maybe at first he didn't really take the big jump that everybody expected. But I think a lot of us thought, this is going to take him a couple games to get acclimated to being the guy, because he was sharing reps for the last 2 years. He needed to get comfortable being the guy and facing some adversity, facing situations that he hadn't been used to or hadn't been accustomed to, getting out of certain situations, coming back on the field after, a turnover or something. There's certain situations that he just had to get accustomed to, and I feel like as this season has gone along, he's really started to take that next step, especially this past week. We named him our MST Sauce Company Player of the Game, had a great interview with him afterwards, and just talk about, his progression this year and just through your eyes how you've seen it.
Yeah. It's crazy to think he's only a junior, because, not
often.
Feels
like he's been here for 9 years.
Yeah, not oftentimes are you playing, playing a freshman in general and playing him at a lighthouse position, kind of like quarterback, a featured position like quarterback. And so to come out as a freshman, as our starter, and sharing time, throughout the team, but just to be on the varsity field as a freshman is impressive. And obviously continue to grow as a sophomore and now as a junior, rightfully so, has put in the work, has done the time, and has earned respect and not just given it by title, and has become more of a vocal leader, obviously elected captain by his peers. And so therefore there's trust there, there's respect there. And the offense, I know we handed off a bunch. I know our offensive line is superior. Our running back, are great. Coach Brockington's great. But, to have a kid like Braden Rogo, who's probably an all-state caliber quarterback, Division I kid, leading the helm's pretty comforting too. And, when needed and when called upon, he's ready to go. And he can make all the throws, and, has a repertoire of receivers to go to. So we feel really good about it. And we're really glad that we don't have to play us defensively versus offensively too often except for practice. And really blessed to have him.
Yeah, and you talked about that offensive line, and Coach, I just want to touch on that offensive line. 2 all-conference players, first team all-conference, 2 second-team all-conference, so you've got 4 out of your 5 starters that made all-conference for you guys. I noticed today, I was reading some of that. Am I right with that?
I think so. That sounds right. We had voting late Sunday.
Yeah.
And I know we weren't allowed to make it public, and then it hit public, I think, today.
Somebody leaked it. Sorry, I'm
media, No, I know it came out. No, it was coming out the next day or so. But no, those 5 guys.
Wait.
Yeah,
we'll give them the proper recognition.
All 5 guys, in my opinion, are all conference players.
Absolutely. That's what I thought. I was kind of surprised that all 5 of them weren't on there because they've done such an outstanding job.
Yeah, Max Fortney was left off the list, and I only know the detail of that because that's wrong. He is an all-conference first team.
Well, he was last year, wasn't he?
Was not last year.
That's another robbery.
But a great player. Probably will be in my opinion, should be an all-state, all-district kid. But we'll see. Again, I don't have control over that stuff. But again, he's probably got an edge about it, an attitude about it, knowing him, and I kind of like that too. Yeah. So hopefully he takes that out on the next however many teams. And again, next year in the conference when he's running through those guys as a senior. But no, the other 4 obviously have great years and have the stats to prove it. When you're blocking for 4,000, over 4,000 yards of offense so far, 2,000 on the ground, 2,000 in the air.
That's remarkable.
That doesn't just mean you're a one-trick pony as far as, they can run block, but they can't pass protect, or vice versa. It's really kudos to those guys and Coach Cole, Coach Heberling, who coach them for building it that way. And we're, like I said, we're really lucky to have them.
Yeah, absolutely. So we mentioned them this past week in a little bit of a graphic that I think on the air we posted a wrong picture, named some kids the wrong names, I think, on the picture. But we made a correction. We posted that on our Facebook page, so we want to give them the credit that they deserve because, I mean, they are just really – they're plowing the way, leading the way for not just this rushing attack because, obviously, that's been a thing that I think a lot of people have been surprised by. I wasn't surprised. I knew this team was going to be great in the trenches this year. But, the passing attack, I think, has been where a lot of people – they knew these guys were road graders. We didn't know how well they were going to hold up in pass protection. And as this year has gone along, they have really established themselves as one of the best pass-blocking offensive units in the league.
Yeah, been really, really good. I think exact stats, I don't want to miss it, but I want to say 9 sacks on the year and either 4 or 5, I think 5 after the first game. We got a couple scrambles for sacks against week 1 opponent, Fremont Ross. So I want to say we've given up 5 sacks in the last 10 games. And so that's pretty good on however many attempts we've thrown, 117, 20 plus, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So, pretty good.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So
Joe Burrow would like that.
I think so, yeah, after the beating that guy took last night, man.
Yeah.
But no, you've got this outstanding rushing attack, and Damian Brockington, we talked about him the last time you were on. Just the effort that he's put forward. SBC's leading rusher this year in the Lake.
Yep.
Finished 20 yards above the second guy. They had a duel in that last game to finish who was going to finish first, and Brockington beat him out. So how does that feel having, just the comfort as a coach knowing that, if I need 5 yards from my rushing attack, I got 5 yards. If I need 4 or 5 yards for my passing attack, I've got those 5 yards. Whatever you want, your playbook is really completely wide open with the balance that you guys have right now. How does that, that's got to feel good as a coach, and, how do you kind of go into each game with this mentality of having that balance?
Every game you're trying to create things that are going to be successful on the ground and in the air, schematically, and personnel. You're trying to get your best against their worst when possible, or do things that they, have shown the ability to struggle against, or is there with space and area. But it feels really good. Obviously, being on this end of it and having those weapons, and we want to remain balanced throughout the season. We know there might be a game here or a game there where we have to lean on one thing or the other. But over the course of the season, we kind of want to remain as balanced as possible. And again, I've learned that from some really good coaches and programs that I've followed and been a part of. And so far, it's kind of held true. And we'll see. Whatever it takes, though. If it takes running it 50 times, we'll do it. If it takes throwing it 50 times, we'll do it.
What's really nice, I think, about your offense is, if you want to take control of a ground game and you want to say, okay, we need to grind out this drive, I need to take 5 minutes off of this clock, you have the ability to do that. Or if you say, all right, I need a score in 45 seconds. We got 45 seconds left. We got 1 timeout left. We need a score before we get into the locker room. You have the ability to do that. It's just wide open. That's why I think as a coach, I'm kind of, as a former coach, I'm kind of envious because that was one of the things that, with the offense that I ran in youth football, it was like, if we get down by more than 2 touchdowns, we're done. There's no coming back. But you guys, you're never out of a game with the kind of offense that you guys run, with the kind of defense that you bring to the table. I just wanted to point out that's got to be every coach's dream.
That's the goal. And again, you're going to play into your kids' strengths.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
can't do it if you don't have the personnel or don't have the kids to do it. And we feel like we have the kids to do it, and who have bought in and worked really hard at being able to do it. And so far, it's been pretty good.
So let's talk about these Bruins.
I got a little question. Question for you here.
All right.
Obviously, as a coach, the wins and losses matter most, and how far you get in the season. But is there a little bit of personal bragging rights between coaches when you have the SBC's leading rusher, leading passer, anything like that? Like, it's a little flex there.
I'll be honest, probably not too much, except for just the wins. And it's just kind of that unspoken. You meet eyes randomly or whatever throughout the year if you cross paths, and
it's the wins that matter most.
It's the wins that matter. Yeah, it's kind of
right.
just the wins and having that edge and that attitude. That's about it. But it's also, we wanted Damian Brockington to be the leading rusher in the conference because he's a really great player. He's had a really great year, and we wanted to have that crown for our offensive lineman and him. So that was a team effort. We wanted to shut down their guy and not overly feed him that night. We're not going to give it to him 50 times for the sake of just giving it to him 50 times. But it's definitely a rite of passage and something to be really proud of, and something obviously that can't be ever taken away. So that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a feather in the cap. You know?
Yeah.
So let's talk about these Bruins. Padua Franciscan.
Yeah.
What do we know about the Bruins?
They're, you look at their schedule. They started off the year, 0-3? Yeah,
0-3?
Started off the year 0-3, but the 3 teams they lost to, 2 of them are state-ranked teams. Only a couple losses between them. The other team's a Division II team who had some really good success in a bigger school. And they had 2 other losses throughout the season, but beat some good teams. And then you put on the tape. And the most important thing you put on the tape, and you start evaluating them. And they're good.
Yeah.
They're really good.
They get after it.
They're big up front, really big. They got running backs by committee. 3 kids they've handed it to that can really run. They got a quarterback who's 6'4", 225, and they got a tight end who can block and catch the ball in space and is really good. And none of those guys play defense. They got an entire 11 guys on defense, and so they're deep.
They platoon?
Oh,
wow.
And so,
jeez.
they have a couple guys who they'll share. You know what I mean? Like a linebacker replacing running back, but not exclusively. And so they're deep. They're very talented, And so you look at the film and you think, how the heck did this team lose 5 games? And you look at their schedule and you think, well, that's why, because they're playing really good teams and they do some really good stuff. Offensively and defensively. We're expecting a tough game, a really tough game against, a very talented, really good team that's playing really good late in the year. You kind of look at the string that they've been on after the first 3, figuring themselves out. What they try to do offensively, defensively that they haven't done since, and so they kind of figured out who they were. So we got a team who's coming in hot to our place that's very talented. So they have our undivided attention, and I told the team a lot about them, and then slowly as the week goes on, we got to start focusing on us and what we do. So we're excited for the opportunity. It's playoff football. Everyone's good from now on. It's not like you're blown away by anything, but kind of think about what are they worried about when they watch us too. So
that's right.
Yeah.
All right. So you've got this. This looks like one of those matchups that's on paper. You as a media guy, I look at records a lot. I look at stats, and it's these guys are 6-5 on the season. They finished the regular season 5-5, but winners 4 out of their last 5 in the regular season, 5 out of their last 6 overall. How do you, as a coach, you do a great job of this, but I just want to know how you do this, because this is kind of a learning lesson for, I think, a lot of other coaches out here. How do you keep your guys focused on kind of what some would consider a lesser opponent? And then they're not a lesser opponent because they're in the playoffs, obviously, so you can't take anybody lightly. But how do you keep your guys focused on, records don't matter. Throw them out the window.
I was going to say, there feels like there's a difference between looking at a 6-5 team in the playoffs and looking at an 11-0 team in the
exactly.
playoffs.
We're in the second round of the playoffs, and you guys are facing a team that finished 5-5. Yeah. There's a different kind of mentality. Some teams might not take them that seriously. You guys have never fallen into those traps before. So that's one of the things I wanted to discuss with you is how do you keep your guys focused?
Because the standard's the standard.
Love it.
The line is the line.
Love
and
it.
Again, we don't go in and week out just to practice good enough and just, put a game plan good enough to beat these guys. Like, we're trying to get better. Like, for us, we're trying to find the best version of our team, chasing perfection, and that's where the line is. Perfection is the line. Like, not, well, that's good enough to beat them, and that's good enough this week so we can move on. Like, the line is the line. And that's like a Nick Saban thing. And again, you don't fall below that line no matter who it is. And then you also, you don't have to sell, but again, turn on the film, show the kids the tape.
That's right.
Talk about their good players. And again, I learned that at Mount Union. Like, our coaches did a great job when we were playing just some inferiorly talented teams, but they did a good job of really building up their guys that we needed to shut down, neutralize. And again, the line was perfection. Like, execute at a high level, do your job at a high level, and that's it. And if you do that, we win, fantastic. If we don't win, then we weren't good enough, and it is what it is. But again, do your job. And so that's another mantra, and I think our kids buy into that. They really do. You watch how they prepare in and week out, and the attention to detail, and the coach's attention to detail. And we got some anxiety-ridden coaches too, so it's helpful.
One of them works for us.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I ran into one of them about 8:30 in the morning on Saturday. I was getting ready to go watch some film at the gas station. I was like, "Yeah, what's happening, man?" He's like, "Film time."
Yeah.
Dedication.
Yeah.
So you say the standard is the standard. It's funny because, when we had a conversation with Braden after the game on Friday, Tommy mentioned the freshman year in 2020, the state semifinal run, and Tommy said, how are you guys hungry? Is that what's driving you this year? And he says, that's just the standard that we want now. That's the standard that we expect. When Coach, after that game, Coach looked at all of us and he said, okay, this is the standard now. This is where we expect to be now. Now let's get above there. Now let's get further than there. And I think that's what's really impressive about you talk about you've kind of brainwashed these kids, and you were making jokes about it, but you've instilled in these kids, I feel like that's the best way to put it, is the workman mentality, the one play at a time, but just this attitude that you've just kind of instilled in this program, I think is really it's impressive to me. I watch this, it's not just one kid, it's every single kid that we interview. They all have this same consistent message, and I think that's one thing that I'm always impressed with, because you've done a great job in getting the buy-in that's required to have a championship-level program.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And again, I've been a part of some really great places and done some really great things, and I steal as many good things from great places as I can and fill them in with, our twist and how we can do it. And again, it's all about expectations. It's all about expectations. If you come in, with the expectation of being the best, then you'll breathe that, live
right.
that. That's how you are, as opposed to like chasing. And there is something to be, chasing something else too, and chasing a ghost. There is something to that, and being motivated by that too. We're absolutely chasing while also knowing we're really good, and wanted to hold on to both those things too.
For sure. So another home game. You got one more, at least one more home game. What's the thought process for some of the seniors as they approach this game? I mean, obviously some of them thought, they weren't sure how their season was going to end. They all knew at the end of the regular season they were going to have one more, and then after last week they knew they would have one more. Now it's kind of reality for some of these kids. This may be their last time playing a game at Frost County Stadium. What does that mean to some of these kids?
Probably means a great deal, and I don't know, like at this point in the year, like rest is so little, and you're just constantly day in and day out grinding, so you don't probably thinking about it too much, and there probably are, but then zooming into practice, zoom in, zoom out, and another line that I heard and stole, like, you can rest in the end. Like,
that's right.
Rest in the end.
Look back at the end.
Like, don't pause in the beginning. Don't reminisce and think about, what could be and what was yet. Like, rest in the end.
That's right.
And so it's we talk about it, hey, take advantage. It's taking advantage. Be where your feet are. Take advantage of this opportunity. Breathe it in. Talk about being, this is rare air. A lot of people would like to be around this, so breathe it in. Enjoy it, absolutely. But at the same time, it's going to be a whole lot funner looking back on this with the result. Ed Milet talks about, like, people talk about, it's not about, the trophy, it's about the climb, or it's not about, the end, it's, about
journey,
the way on the way there. And somewhat, yes, absolutely. But if I hop on a plane and I want to go to Florida and I end up in Texas, I'm not going to be real happy and talk about the journey because I ended up where I don't want to be. And so
that's a great way of putting it.
It's a lot nicer to talk about the journey when you end up where you want to be.
That's right.
So that's the goal, end up where we want to be.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. So as we look at, this is now, the regional round, this is the quarterfinals, right?
Something like that.
Something like that, whatever. Somewhere around that. It's still in the regional round. So there's 8 teams left in this region. You've got Parma Heights, Holy Name. You've got Lutheran West out of Rocky River.
Yep.
Defiance. You got Mansfield Senior. Padua Franciscan, obviously this week with you guys. And then Clyde and Norton on the other side of your side of the bracket. I know we don't talk about other teams because we're focused on Padua Franciscan, but what's your thoughts on that Clyde Norton game? What do you think? What do you got?
obviously we know Clyde really well, being a common opponent and in our conference, and just know them historically, know them from this year. So I know a lot about them, and I know very little about Norton. Haven't seen them on film. We played them 2 years ago, but I know their program has changed, and I know when we played them 2 years ago, that was COVID 2020, so they made the playoffs because everybody made the playoffs, and that was the first year they made the playoffs in a while or something like that. But since then, I know last year they had a really good year. Obviously this year, another really good year. So have things really turned around, and that's what I know about the program. That's about it. And so
that's all you're getting.
yeah, and we'll see. Obviously, we got to take care of business. Padua has our undivided attention, and if we're lucky to get through this one, we'll flip the page as coaches, within hours after that, and start getting ready for the next one. And same thing for the kids. We usually give them about 8 to 10 hours to enjoy it, and then we start kind of turning the page. So we'll see.
Well, before you turn the page, let's talk one more time about these Bruins. I just want your keys to this game. What do you think the keys are for you guys offensively to be able to score some points?
Yeah, offensively, we got to control their front and make big plays. They got some game records. They got a 6'7" defensive end who can rush the passer.
Jeez.
They got some linebackers who can really run. The guys in the secondary, and so
kids in high school, 6'7".
Yeah, yeah. So again, a game wrecker. You talk about like a Myles Garrett. You talk about someone who could, you could have things going in the right direction, doing some great things, and all of a sudden sack, fumble, boom, their ball, or a tip pass, interception, or you got to take care of the ball. You got to make big plays, and you can't give them up. And so more of the same offensively. We got to run the ball and throw it when necessary, and do vice versa. Throw it to open up the run game, and I told the offensive coaches I feel really good about it if we score about 80. So that's the goal.
So there you go. Yeah. Put up 80.
Put up 80, and
That's
I like our
key.
chances.
That's the key offensively. What about defensively? What do you guys got to do?
Got to stop the run in the vertical pass game.
Okay.
They are a really dynamic run team, really big across the board, tall-wise, pound-wise. They run a lot of outside zone mixed with some pin-pull action and a little bit of inside zone and some counter. And they want to run it right at you and also, get it to the edge with some really good speed with different guys in different ways. But they also got a D1 offered quarterback who can throw it a country mile to some really fast guys in the perimeter. So, you get everyone sucked up, worried about the run, and then they're going to take advantage vertical. So you got to do two things that are kind of different. You got to stop the run and the deep pass.
Right.
And so defensively it's going to be tough, but we'll got a good game plan and plan A, plan B, plan C ready to go, and we'll see how it works out.
All right, Coach, there you go. There's your keys to the game offensively and defensively. Tune in this Friday as we'll bring you the Tiffin Columbian versus Padua Franciscan Division III Region 10 quarterfinal matchup. I think I got that right. Quarterfinals.
Dead on.
Once again, tune in about 6:45 for the pregame show, 7 o'clock kickoff right here on Heart of Ohio Sports. That'll be on the Adrenaline stream, so you can find that on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and also tune in on heartofohiosports.com as well. Coach, once again, can't thank you enough for coming on with us.
Appreciate you. Appreciate the entire crew behind the scenes and in front of the camera sometimes. Guys do a great job. And can't say enough for everyone, obviously, who covers us, takes the time to learn about our guys and give them recognition and our program recognition. And we're happy for all the efforts.
Absolutely. Well, thank you once again for your time. I know this is date night, so I don't want to keep you guys too long here. Yeah. But I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Make sure you share the video, like, follow, subscribe on all of our platforms. Once again, thanks for tuning in here on Heart of Ohio Sports. You've been watching the Coach's Corner live from Benchwarmers Restaurant and Delivery.